What's up, guys? Welcome back to another LeetCode solve, and today we're trying LeetCode 994 rotting oranges. I've never solved this question before, so let's see if we can get it first try. So we're given an n by n grid where each cell can have one of three values: 0 representing an empty cell, 1 representing a fresh orange, or 2 representing a rotten orange. And every minute, any fresh orange that is 4 directionally adjacent, I'd imagine that just means up, down, left, right, to a rotten orange becomes rotten. Return the minimum number of minutes that must elapse until no cell is a fresh orange. If that's impossible, return -1. So looking at this example, yes, that is just up, down, left, right, because this diagonal here is not rotten after the first minute. Then, yeah, because this right goes right and down, down, right. Okay. No picture on the second test case, which kind of sucks. Let me draw it out, though, just to make sure I got this right. So 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. And what do these mean? 0 is empty, 1 is fresh orange, 2 is rotten orange. So rotten, fresh, or that, fresh, fresh, nothing, fresh, 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 nothing, fresh. So on the first minute, this will rot, then these two will rot on minute 2, then this will rot on minute 3, this will rot on minute 4, and this one is untouchable since it's not like adjacent to any path that can reach an orange. Like, it's got these no spots on either adjacent position. So let me think about how I might approach this. So I feel like I either gotta start again at a rotten orange or at a not rotten orange. Like, I could start at the not rotten orange and then like look outwards until I find a rotten orange, and then be able to count like, oh, that's 1. But if we started at like this position, it would require like 2 steps before we were like, oh yeah, cool, we found the rotten orange. But I think it also makes a little bit more sense to do it the other way around. Like, find the rotten orange and then BFS outwards and be able to count and mark. I guess I could just mark these as now rotten. How many steps? So then I'd be able to, like, my BFS would go this way, change these, and we could keep like some sort of tally, like 1, step 2, and my BFS would continue. Can't go anywhere else, but this would mark. This would be like step 3, and so on. And the case where nothing happens, I guess that's when my BFS like completes, like, let's say one more step, which is step 4 here, gets to this position. My frontier should be empty at this point. Like, I'm gonna have a frontier, obviously, with all these nodes in it that keeps track of like what state I'm in, and my BFS, like what nodes I'm gonna look at next. And I'd imagine if it's empty and we search through the list again and we find a 1, then we can just return -1, because then we know that there's no way to reach that, because we have nothing left to explore. And I think we can use the same trick we used on walls and gates over here. I have a video of that if you want to watch, where we can start our BFS from just every rotten orange at the same time. So this makes sense in my head, so let's jump into the code. Let's see, we're gonna need this for sure. Length of the grid, length of the 0th position of the grid. We're gonna want to loop through this. Bang. We're gonna want to check if grid, if this position is, they're stored as integers, so this should be good. If they're rotten, then we want to add it to our frontier. So we're going to frontier, which I am going to want to do a DFS, so I'm going to use a deck here. I don't need anything in it right now, because if we find a rotten orange, then I want to add, what do I want to add to my frontier? Frontier, append the tuple, the IJ position, where that rotten orange is. And then we can do our BFS boilerplate, so I'm going to say, well, frontier, row column is frontier.pop left, if tuple RC is in, we'll probably need a visited, some way to track whether we've seen something visited, then we can just continue. Otherwise, we actually look at it, and then we can add all the neighbors, which is for in all the 4 directions we can go. We want to see, or we just want to add it. Frontier to append a tuple, which is R plus DR, C plus DC. But then we need to check these bounds. I'll just check them up here, because I think it is kind of a nice mental model to have one spot to check it instead of a bunch of split up spots. Like, I think technically it'd be a little bit more efficient to check here, but whatever. I can just check if the row is less than 0, because it's allowed to be 0, but if it's greater or equal to n, because it's not allowed to be n. Yeah, that's bad. And if C, same thing here. Or it's visited. Or actually, if this equals that, it's an empty cell and we can't traverse it. Okay, so that's our boilerplate. Now I need to actually do something. I'm not doing anything yet. So I want to keep track of how many steps it takes for all the fruit to rot, all the orange to rot. Which is basically another way of saying is how long does it take for my frontier to empty. So maybe I can just keep track of a count. This seems a bit simple, but let me see if it works. Every time we pop something, or no, I'm going to do every time we visit something, I'm going to update the count. And at the end, I need to do that check again. I don't know if there's a way to do this check on the fly, but I'll just start by just looking through the thing again. Maybe there's a way to optimize this, and I can think about that afterwards if I care enough. But basically, once the frontier is empty, we want to check if any of these is 1, which means you have a fresh orange, then we return -1. And if this whole thing elapses without fresh orange, that means they're all rotten, and we return the count. I actually like this. Go through, we find the rotten oranges, we add them to our frontier, we pop left, we do our BFS, we check our bounds, we see if we can traverse it, we see if we visited, we add the visited, we keep track of how many steps we've taken to do this. This might be an issue actually, because we want like one time step per direction. Like, you see how I have 2 blue 2s here? That's like per level on the DFS we want a count, because that's what's happening here, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, wait, this is not gonna work. And it's not gonna work because it's counting each visit as its own count, you know, like 1, 2, and this would be 3, the way I have my code done. So, I think the way to approach this is I need to do like a level by level BFS instead of just like a normal one. I need to... I have this while frontier. I might also need to do like an inside loop for in range length frontier and like throw all these here. And every time I do this, I think I need a count. Because I do one level... I think this works. I'm gonna submit this and then I'll give it some more thought. But I'm pretty sure this is how you do level by level. I'm just returning -1 and everything, right? No, not here. Interesting. Return 2 on that one? That's actually crazy. This one's supposed to be -1, so that works. Test case 1, I'm getting -1 when I definitely should not be. Let me see what happens when I just do this. I don't think this will work, but I'm just curious. I think this will give me, I'm not looking at it, I genuinely not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, still -1. So R corresponds to N, and C is with M. These bounds are correct. This is right. I wonder alternatively. Well, I don't know, first of all, why this is... Let me see what my grid looks like once I'm out of this for loop. I mean, this while. 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Oh, I'm not updating anything. Okay. That's definitely important. When I visit, I want to make IJ rotten. So now I think it'll be 6. Still no. Well, I changed once. What? It's saying the bottom right one got rotten? At the very end? Well, I guess if this is a 2, I might not want to visit it as well. I feel like that could maybe mess some stuff up. That made that test case pass, so that was an edge case I found. But the main case is still saying no. So if it's run from the beginning, then I append the stuff to the frontier. Oh, well, that's not right. Where's it even getting that IJ? Wait, that's crazy. Oh, this also isn't right. Nice. I don't know what that's about. Now, still? That's interesting. ij is 2. I'm getting RC now. If it's 0 or 2, I don't want it. Or that. But if it passes all of those, then I visit it. I make it rotten. This means it's not rotten right now. And I count. And then I see, well, every direction I can go, I do choose to go. Which this also looks correct. And eventually my frontier runs out. It should run out when I can't do anything anymore. Well, on every I'm popping this from the left. This is really confusing. This looks right. I don't know why my grid isn't updating. Let me see, like, can I, like, print the grid, like, here? And see what this looks like? What? Why am I not printing anything? Is just skipping that whole thing entirely? And that's correct. 0, 0. Oh, the first thing is rotten. So that is actually bad. Because we're starting at a rotten... Okay. Yeah, I was just skipping the first... But then I lose this third case. Maybe I'm gonna have to check for that down here. Maybe I should just do my like bounds checks and stuff down here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. But the problem is then... Yeah, like this. Because I don't think I want to traverse rotten oranges, like, later. On the first one, I guess I have to. Because that's where I'm starting. But then I only want to... Because rotten orange is already rotten. And maybe I do want to look at rotten oranges. I can't tell yet. Let's see what this gives me. Out of range. Oh, well then I need to switch these, because I only want... I guess that lets me do this, which is kind of nicer. Because I only want the conditions that I would like to view an orange on. Oh. I'm still not sure about this final one. Oh, yeah, I also need to switch this. Alright, now I just don't know. 0 less than n. C less than m. Not 0 and not... Oh, this thing. I'm adding it twice. Really? Oh, I'm trying to index it in here. Oh, this is stupid. This is actually stupid. I'm pivoting back. This is like giving me too many issues. And it is the same thing. I know it's the same thing. Alright, back here. What was my actual issue here? Well, now it's giving me -1. Okay, wait, I might have gone too far. Oh, yeah, here was this. If I want to catch that later, I'll catch it on my own, I guess. So 7. Which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the amount of oranges. And this one is interesting because it's rotten. But I'm getting nothing because there is a the way I count it, I do actually enter since the first thing is rotten. Well, what if I do that level thing now? What if I make this like a level order? And count each level. I still have that like off by 1. 6. What is this first one? It's giving me 1, 0, 0, 1. Oh, and the 2 ones around it. But these get like filtered out later. Let me try it. If grid but the problem is now that it's gonna say out of bounds. Because I'm not checking the bounds on this r plus dr, yeah. Now I'm slowly just reconforming back to the other thing. Let me go back to this thing. So I'm starting here. Now I have my 2. And I put it in there, and my frontier just has that 2's position. And I loop through that once. And I can't filter it out here because I actually need to compute on the 2. So I can't filter out at the rotten oranges. I can only filter out the 0s. Now I make it equal 2, so if it's 2, it's still 2, and that's fine. Now look at all its directions. And if it's in bounds, and it's not a 2, I explore it. I think that's fine. The problem is then I append all of those. So there would just be this one on my frontier. So the problem is that's not the case. How is this like this? Is this from this code? Because I'm looping this one time and then I'm adding everything and then I do it. Well, and then I print it here. Maybe I want to print it up here and see what that looks like. Yeah, now it's 0. But at the end of this, then I get all of them. Which these two I don't really understand. Shouldn't these have been filtered out? -1 is not in these, Oh. I'm using ors here when I should be using ands. Because just one of these conditions is true, so then it's executing. Okay, that's cleaner. What if I do that? So each level I append and then I, so now I'm getting 6. How is that possible? I want it at each level. So this is my second level, it's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. What am I doing that this picture is not doing? So this is my first one. It's not shown because I print afterwards, but then the next one, like the first line on mine, is reflecting this. And then frontier length is 2, so I should be computing both of these, which I do. Like the next time the 1, 0, and the 0, 1 are not there. Except there's 4 on there. Like the 2, 0, that's fine. The 1, 1, that's fine. Why am I doubling? Maybe I do just want to do the whole check down here. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Maybe I am not completely confident on where to do these checks in these problems yet. Oh, well now like... Alright. Let's clean this up. I have to think about when I want to check it down here, when I want to check it up there. It seems. I can also just check both, which won't do anything. But so now my answer is -1. Probably because I don't want to do this one here. If I were to guess, I think, yeah, I got the rest of these. I want to, if I visited before, I can backtrack up there. Oh. Maybe this was my problem, actually. There we go. Okay. So I was actually on the right track. I just don't want to, oh, I know why. Since I'm doing a level order BFS and I need to know, like, how many is in my frontier to, like, compute those by level so I can keep track of my count by level, I need to only have things in my frontier that are actually valid. I don't want to ever filter out anything in my frontier. Because if I have things in my frontier that I'm just waiting to filter out at this step, it affects, like, this loop up here, and then I loop too much. And then I have, like, too many counts because I'm looping too much. That makes sense in my head. I don't know about you other guys, other people. Now, this one has an issue because I find the one rotten orange, and then I do this, and I don't do anything. I don't do anything in this loop, like there's nothing to infect, but I still increment my count. Maybe, rot. And so at this level, so I've not rotted yet at this level, and then this says I have rotted. And when I'm done, only if I've rotted something do I increment the count. I never like introducing flags because of stuff like this. Because now, one zero. How am I getting to 1-1? What? What? Is that always like that? That doesn't make sense in my head. Wait, 1-1 is there too. 1-0-0-1. Is something with my R variables? They're up here. Am I like incrementing it too hard? I'm gonna new R, new C. Yeah, I should have known. In my head, I didn't like that. I didn't say anything, so it's not real, but... So my code was only coincidentally working, I guess. So that's fine. On the next one, I have duplicates. Can't have that. Can't have duplicates. Well, I can try and deduplicate up here, or I can actually use my brain, I guess. And Will that deduplicate? It will, but still wrong. 1102 2122. And the empty one. Maybe I count up here. Still 5. Why is this taking 5? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. But it still has to consume this final one. Or maybe on the first thing I need to... Okay. So that somehow also... That solves the, that edge case I was trying to find. Because the first time I'm computing this in the frontier, I'm not infecting anything. I'm starting at a thing that's already infected, so my count should be 0. And I think this should be able to go on either end of this, actually. Yeah, this makes more sense. Yeah, because I'm not infecting anything up here. So I need to be -1 to account for that. Like, the first whole pass-through is just to find the first thing to infect. It's like I'm looking at an already rotten orange, and then I do all of this, and I make my frontier, and the first layer of frontier that's computed, which is on the next pass-through, is then counted. Alright. Let's see if this submits. Almost all of them. Oh, this is a grid with... There's a grid with nothing in it. So when I look through here... My output was -1, and it wants nothing. Because on my final check, well... Well, here, my frontier is empty, so then this never executes. So then I go down here. And... I don't see anything, so then I return -1. So I guess if there's nothing to infect in the first place... It's just an empty grid. We want no cell with a fresh orange. So if no rotten oranges are found, which means no frontier initially, down here, there's... Well, I guess it would make more sense up here, because down there the frontier will be empty regardless. I don't know if I want to return 0, if I want to return the number of... Well, there's just no fresh oranges. I want to know how many minutes will elapse till no fresh oranges exist. Well, if here there's no rotten oranges, there's nothing to infect. But what about the case where there's no rotten oranges, but there's still fresh oranges? Because then I want to return -1. So if there's no rotten oranges, but also no fresh oranges, then I want to return 0. But if there's no rotten oranges and fresh oranges, I want -1. And if there's no rotten oranges, there's no frontier, so this skips, and we go here. And if there is a fresh orange, we return -1. But then this one, there's no rotten oranges, so we skip this, we go here. Grid IJ is never 1. Oh, I'm returning my count. Oh. Yeah, if there's no rotten oranges, my count should be 0. Because the way I'm doing this is the first kind of level on my BFS is just seeing what can be infected from the first rotten orange, which is well, the first rotten orange doesn't count as a minute of rotting. But if there's no rotten oranges in the first place, then we need to account for that. Nice. Okay. Actually, really fast. Yeah. I wonder, I assume there's probably a cleaner way to like deal with these counts and like not set it negative, or maybe there's not. I don't know. There's a lot of edge cases with this, and this took me a decent amount of time. I wonder if this would be considered a pass in an interview. This was really was blind. I'd never done this problem before. I hadn't even practiced doing this level by level, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy that I got it without looking at anything. I wonder if this was fast enough to be considered a pass in an interview. I don't know. If any recruiter's watching this and somehow got 42 minutes into this video, please let me know. But if you're not a recruiter and you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.